Good morning, welcome to my morning forecast for the 3rd of March. So as you can see, this is the Aussie US dollar. So as you can see, what has happened very recently, as you can see, we have had a range. Since that range over here, you can see that we've broken the low, retraced, broken this high, retraced, okay? Actually, we actually broke this high and then retraced, okay? Then of course we pushed up, we broke the high, retraced, we broke a high here again, retraced, broke a high, retraced, okay? Now you can see the way we're moving is very correctively. Then after that, you can see that we have had a bit of a range, and now we have broken the high with some really nice momentum. You can clearly see that we have momentum here in the market. Now for me, again, what do I know about the Aussie US dollar? Again, we know this pair likes to trend correctively, okay? So for me, again, we are in a corrective trend. Am I seeing momentum up? Yes, we can see that we are starting to push up. We're seeing that momentum here, right? Now for me, again, I will be looking at a position, okay, at the last high, which is around here, okay? But again, it depends what forms here. Now for me, on this pair, I'm going to be waiting for this candle to form, okay? Now, the reason why I haven't set a order here is because considering how we have formed this kind of position. So as you can see, guys, in essence, we've broken this high, retraced, broken this high, retraced. We've had a bit of a range, and then we've broken the high with a little bit of momentum and continuing momentum. So for me, I'm looking at position, but the way we formed has asked me to be a little bit more cautious, okay, than rather setting in an order already. So for me personally, I'm waiting for these first two candles to form. If I don't really see a shift in momentum, I'm more than happy to place my order here. So that, again, it's not going to be a combo now because, of course, you would have to have a pullback. You can see this candle has broken the previous candle's low. But again, this price could easily just do that. If that does that, I'm not interested in getting involved in a position. Now for me, if this price shows a wick or shows no evidence of any shift in momentum, just like this candle, this is a very nice candle, I will be looking to set my order at this level, okay? But again, for me, I'm being a little bit more cautious because of how we formed this, okay? You can see previously we broke the high retrace, broke the high retrace, ranged a bit, and then we start to form momentum. So in essence, we are coming up in a corrective manner, but the fact that we saw this range, I'm being a little bit more cautious before setting my order, okay? So again, that is what I'm looking at on the Aussie US dollar in the near term. Now again, if we don't get the opportunity to actually take that, then we just come up, break the high, retrace, can continue in this ascending manner. I will be sitting my hands, being patient and seeing what happens next. If we impulse down, more than happy to get involved in a nice continuation flag, very high probability. If we break the low, pull back to this level, we'll be looking for a nice reversal setup, okay? Very high probability. But again, even from this position, we could just actually start to drop. If we start to drop, you can see that we have been ascending. In fact, we've been ascending for quite a while, okay? So if we have been in this kind of very ascending nature, okay? We can see in essence that from this kind of view, the bars are starting to run out. If we show that impulsive move down, more than happy to get involved in a nice continuation flag to the south side, okay? Now again, we may not get that considering, well, depending what will happen on this candle here. If we push down, we might just start to continue to range within here, within the high here and the low here. So in that scenario, I'm willing to sit on my hands and be a bit more patient. So, okay, so it depends all on how this candle forms for me to look at an order, a continuation bullet for this pair as it trends correctively. But again, sitting on my hands, being patient and waiting to see what happens next, okay? Next pair is the Aussie Japanese yen. As you can see, I've not entered any trades here last night. I know quite a few people, or some people were in a trade that was here. But again, for me, as you can see, we are up in the uptrend, but look how we have made it. You can see that we've had this V, we've had the range, and we've pushed up in the direction of the second leg, which is always nice to see, confirming our naked charting is there and the evidence is there. What has happened? You can see we've broken the high, retrace, broken the high with not much momentum here, retrace, broken high, retrace, broken high, retrace, okay? And then we started to range around within here. Now you can see for me, again, this personally does not fit my plan, okay? You can see how we actually came up to this bottom. You can see that we had the largest candles here. We saw that momentum. For me, as we pushed up, the momentum started to die, and especially with the wick. Now for me, I wanted to see either a combo down to this level here. That would have been very high probability for me, but again, we didn't get to see that. Now for me, we could see this kind of slow push down. You can see as we entered spread hours, and after spread hours, we were already at around this level here, okay? So for me, again, it was on the verge. It was between being a valid trade and a high probability trade, but again, for me, I want to see a little bit more, considering the way we broke this high, retrace, I wanted to see a little bit more of either a counter trend move or a range before for me placing an order. Now you can see this trade went and worked out, but again, for me, it doesn't really matter. Again, we're going to have moves in the market where we're not really involved. But so for me personally, I wanted to just be a little bit more wary, because of how we actually came up. Momentum started to die, and again, we started to continuously push back. So for me, again, I didn't have an order set. So what am I looking for next? Well, as you can see, we have continued with that momentum. We've broken the high again, and seeing that momentum, we know this pair likes to trend correctively. Now you can see the bullet line is down here. Now for me, again, that's pretty large ask to actually come all the way down here for any orders currently as prices up here. So for me, what am I looking at? Now again, if we get a nice bomb here, I will be looking to take that, okay? Why is that? Well, we're seeing this nice push up. I'm not really seeing any shift in momentum here. So again, if we have a bomb line here, okay, and we break and retrace, I'm more than happy to get involved in a nice continuation flag over here in this direction here, okay? Now again, we may not get that. If we come up in an ascending manner like this, breaking the highs, retracing, I will be sitting my hands, being patient and seeing what happens next. If we impulse down, more than happy to look for a nice continuation flag. Okay, very high probability. We're seeing the sellers starting to come in after this ascending nature. If we break the low, pull back to this level, we'll be looking for a nice reversal setup. Okay, very high probability. Now again, I will be looking for a continuation bullet. Okay, if we actually start to come down in this descending manner, okay, breaking the lows, retracing like this, I will be looking for that. That 100% fits my plan. You can clearly see that we are in a trend. We are in an uptrend, okay? We didn't get enough solid evidence for me personally to get involved yet, but now we are getting that evidence. You can clearly see we've got momentum. So for me, again, this would be a nice high probability trade, but again, it all depends on price action here. I don't want to see any shift in momentum. I want to see some nice corrective price action, or at least a bit of a range before placing an order here, okay? So again, this is what I'm looking at on this pair. Now again, we might just impulse down straight from here. If we do that, I will be looking to get involved in a nice continuation flag, okay? So again, for me, I'm being very, very cautious. No bullets. We can see that if we had a bullet here, this would have to indicate a shift in momentum, but I'm more than happy to get involved in a flag depending on what happens after this candle, okay? If we start to get a bomb line, we break and retrace, we'll be looking for that. But again, we'll be looking for that continuation bullet, okay? So again, looking for the next candle to set up and being patient on this pair, okay? That's what I'm looking at on the Aussie Japanese yen. Next pair is the Euro US dollar. As you can see, what has happened, we started to range overnight. This is what I did forecast, considering we've broken the low, retrace, broken the high, retrace, anticipating this range. Clearly what we got, okay? So what am I looking for next on this pair? Well, as you can see, guys, we have been descending for quite a while, and for me, we are starting to form that descending nature. Why is that? We can see the major lows breaking, retracing, breaking, retracing, breaking, retracing. So again, for me, if we start to come down in this descending manner, I will be sitting my hands, being patient, seeing what happens next. If we impulse up, more than happy to look for a nice continuation flag. We know these are very, very high probability considering this kind of price action. If we break the high with momentum and pull back to this level, we'll be looking for a nice reversal trade. Okay, very high probability. Now we may not get that. We do know with this kind of a pair, you get this kind of impulse down, we get this descending kind of move, okay, and then we impulse down. If we get that, I will be looking to get involved in a nice continuation flag south. Or if we start to see this kind of corrective price action at the bottom, I will be looking for opportunities to go north. Why is that? Well, we can see we've read price action, we've seen the weakness. Retail traders will think that this is part of the down move, whereas we know we've read price action, we know this is part of the up move. So again, we'll be on the right side of the market, okay? So we know that trades, especially on the Euro US dollar and Euro Japanese yen, this is very high probability setup, okay? So again, anticipating a lot more of a range for me personally in this, especially till the evening forecast. I would have to wait for a lot more price action for this kind of descending to develop. But again, sitting on my hands, being patient, a lot more patient on the Euro US dollar before I look for any trades. Next pair is the Euro Japanese yen. As you can see, guys, we've come down in this kind of very heavily. And what's happened after? We've broken the low, retraced, broken the higher, retrace. Okay, I might have explained in the last recap why I personally did not get involved in here. Again, broken the low, retrace, broken the high, retrace. There's no order for me personally at this level here. After that, what can you see has happened? We've broken the low, retrace, broken the high, formed a large retrace, giving us evidence: no momentum down, no momentum up. We're more likely to range. Okay, and this is what I said in my evening forecast, and this is exactly what has happened. So again, what am I looking for now? Well, you can see we're pretty much range bound. This is not really a higher probability opportunity coming from the Euro Japanese yen. I want to see more commitment. If we impulse up, more than happy to look for a nice continuation flag to the upside. If we impulse down, more than happy to look for a nice continuation flag on the downside. Okay, very high probability. Now for me, again, if we come up in this ascending manner, this will have to start, it will take a little bit of a longer time to form. I will be sitting my hands being patient, seeing what happens next. If we impulse down, more than happy to look for a nice continuation flag. But if we break the low with momentum, pull back to this level, we'll be looking for a nice reversal setup, okay? But I want to see clear evidence of loss of momentum and weakness up here before I start to look for a setup like this, okay? And a lot more of an ascending. We know that the euro, Japanese yen, and euro dollar likes to have these longer kind of ascendings slash descendings and move into a smaller ascending descending within it, giving us a very high probability setup. Again, you can see we're starting to range. So again, I don't believe that there's a high probability likelihood of a trade appearing on this pair between now and the evening forecast tonight. So again, being a lot more patient on the euro Japanese yen. Next pair is the pound. As you can see, I'm not in any trades here. You can see that what has happened overnight, I might have explained why I didn't get involved in this trade, but I'll just quickly cover that why I didn't get involved. For me, again, we saw these double wicks, and again, we broke this high a little too quickly for me personally on this pair. I would have liked to see a little bit more of a range before getting involved in a bomb to go south, okay? Now for me, again, this was the warning sign, which is why I didn't get involved personally. And also on top of that, you can see that we were a little bit more range bound in that sense, okay? But again, for me, if I saw a little bit more of that range, I would have been happy to get involved, okay? But again, for me, we broke this high a little too early. So for me, when I see that we've broken this high early, I normally anticipate this range or a move up in the direction of the opposite direction of the impulse. So for me, again, I was being patient. As you can see, what's happened after we've broken the low, formed wicks, retraced, broken the high, retraced. Not really giving us evidence where we're going to go. Then we've broken the high, retraced, broken the high with a little bit of momentum. Again, retraced, broken the high, retraced. I'm not getting any commitment where we want to go. You can clearly see, guys, on the pound, we want to wait for stronger moves, okay? Similar to this kind of move here, this is looking quite impulsive. This was nice. I want to see more of this kind of price action. You can clearly see even beforehand when that kind of price action comes in, you can see we've got impulsive behavior here. We have some impulsive behavior over here. You can see that is very, very distinct for me on the pound. So I want to see a lot more of an impulse before looking to get involved. Okay, so for me, we're currently in no man's land. We can see we're range bound, but typically when we're range bound, we do start to see a little bit of momentum, and then we can get involved in continuations and things like this. But again, waiting for better impulsive behavior on the pound, okay, before I look to get involved. Now, we know that continuation is high probability. If I see the impulse, if we see the impulse, we'll be happy to look to get involved in a nice continuation, okay, very high probability. Same to the downside. If we get the impulse down, we'll be looking to get involved in a nice continuation, okay, very high probability. And remember, don't forget that we know that this pair likes its longer flags. They do work out. As you can see, if we impulse up and we start to get this kind of, we get this pullback and we start to get this range within here, and then we break the low and go, this is a wider flag, okay? I do know this pair really likes to do this. They are very high probability, especially given the range and the break and retrace of the bomb line. Very high probability setup. So again, we're waiting for a lot more price action on the pound. I want to see a lot more impulsive behavior before I start to get involved. Next pair is the New Zealand Japanese yen. As you can see, there was a position that I did not get involved in yesterday, okay? You can see we have this V, we have the range, and we have a move in the direction of the second leg. You can see that we've taken out some of the liquidity down here, and how have we reacted? We've reacted essentially with some momentum, not enough momentum for me to actually be convinced that this was actually a liquidity grab. But again, in essence, what has happened? You've got the V, you've got the range and the direction in the second leg. Now, there was an order at this level here to get involved, but again, for me, considering how these candles were forming, I was seeing a dying, like essentially momentum, not too much momentum, even though we did break with a nice push. I want to see how we get to this level, okay? You can clearly see if I saw a candle exactly like this one pull down, you can see that this is showing a shift in momentum and it's more likely to push down, okay? In this scenario, it did work out, but again, for me, remember, we're playing probabilities. Doesn't mean that, again, we're looking at right and wrongs. We're looking at what is more likely to happen. I forecasted this exactly after this candle, but again, price literally rejected off that line and shot up. Now, as you can see, we've pushed up with some nice behavior, nice impulsive behavior. We've come down, didn't even really get an opportunity for a bomb. For me, I'm not really trading bombs on this pair. And then what's happened after? We've broken this high, retrace, okay, giving me evidence that we are running out of steam to the upside. Now you can see that we have been ascending for a while, so again, for me, I will be looking at opportunities to go south, okay. On this bit, I like to trade reversals and continuation. So if we break the highs, retrace, and start to see more of a weakness, I will be looking at opportunities to go south. If we break the low with momentum, pull back to this level, we'll be looking for a nice reversal trade, okay. So that is what I'll be looking at, but again, it doesn't have to do that. If we push up with momentum, retrace, push up with more momentum again, we'll be looking for a continuation bullet to get involved in the continuation of the trend, okay. This pair also likes to trend correctively, so I want to see the right price action for this. But again, waiting for more price action on this pair. You can see we've just broken the high and retrace, suggesting we're running out of steam. But again, I want to see a little bit more price action before I get involved, okay. Now that is what I'll be looking at in the market ahead today. We can see the Aussie US dollar and the Aussie Japanese yen are shaping up. So again, I will be looking for potential trades on these two pairs. So that's what I'm looking at on the market ahead today. I'll speak to you guys tomorrow.